Hey, what's up guys? Houston here. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about, dang, I wish somebody had told me that about my credit before I made that mistake? Well, I'm going to tell you the 8 mistakes that most people make starting out with building their credit, okay? The first mistake that I always tell people is don't apply for too many credit cards under one credit bureau, okay? And the reason you don't want to do that is because if you're in this frenzy, you're trying to build up your credit, you're trying to get these high limit credit cards. Well, here's the thing about it. The more credit cards you apply for under one credit bureau, what ends up happening is that when creditors start pulling your credit report and they see, oh, you just applied for this credit card and they gave you this amount, what it ends up doing is boxing you into, you like, dang, how come I can't get over that 2,000 limit, or how come I can't get over that 3,000 limit? And there's some other things that actually factor into that many people are not aware of, especially when applying for credit. One of the things is your income. Your income plays a very big role into determining the amount of credit that you're going to get from a financial institution. All right, that's one of the key points. Another key point is in terms of how long you've been on a job. Also in terms of how long you've been at your place of residence, how old is your credit file, especially as a beginner, like I said, or a person that's just rebuilding their credit. These are some of the things that you have to consider. All right, so when you're trying to get higher limit credit cards and you start applying for too many credit cards, best believe these lenders start looking at that. Now, I always tell people the maximum amount of inquiries you want to have on your credit file per bureau is between 6 and 8. Once you go above that, then you start in that danger zone of being declined, okay? And one more thing that you also must know, that in terms of helping to balance out that credit file so that you can also get the maximum amount of funding, is also making sure that you have some type of loan, whether it's secured or unsecured loan. You need to have some type of loan on the credit file. All right, so that's the first thing you need to know. Now, the second thing you need to know, applying for the wrong credit cards. And what I mean by that, a lot of us, when we start out, we see credit cards like Progress or something like that, where you have to pay for all these activation fees. They'll give you the card as an unsecured card, say it's $300, but they would take out about $100, $150 even before you actually use that $300 limit. So you're already in the hole with this credit card. So choosing the right credit card. Now, as a beginner, I would say some of the best credit cards you may want to consider when starting out, I would look at a credit union. Credit union like maybe Navy Federal if I can get in. And I would look at signing up for their secured card, their secured and rewards card. Because all you have to do is put $200 on the card, and after 6 months of good on-time payment, it converts over to $2,000. All right. At the same time, I would also do their pledge loan for $250 as well, so that way you will have that loan on there. The thing about it, you want to be able to go to actual financial institutions that not only offer secured cards, but they offer converting regular credit cards as well as lines of credit, loans, and if you're looking at being an entrepreneur, possibly business loans as well. Okay, so choosing the wrong credit card would definitely end up hurting you. All right, now there's something else that you should know. If you're going to be building up your credit and stuff like that, then you probably want to look at a credit card like maybe Credit AI. Opportune has a credit card. The Credit AI credit card gives you a $1,500 limit as long as you can show deposit. The Opportune credit card, it starts at about $300, but that credit card limit can go up higher than that. All right, and there's no hard pull on your credit for either of those. Also, you have OppFi, and like some of these cards may not be available in your region, that's the reason you're able to do a pre-approval. So if some of you all are trying to rebuild your credit, or you're a beginner, those are some of the cards you want to go after if you're not able to get into a credit union. All right, but I would definitely tell you to focus on credit unions first. All right, now the third thing you want to do, that's the mistake that most people end up doing, is maxing out the credit cards. Okay, maxing out the credit cards. Now this is very big, because sometimes, hey, when we have a low limit credit card, we may need to pay a bill or something like that right away. We can't help it, and I get it. But at the same time, if you want to get higher limit credit cards, I would definitely tell you to make sure that you keep your credit card spending, they said 30%, but 10% if you want to have a higher impact on your credit score. So that way when you approaching lenders for a credit line increase and stuff like that, they'll see that you're not just always maxing out the card. They'll see that you're able to manage the credit. Okay, and I made a video of actually telling people some of the top 3 things that'll help you get a credit limit increase. I'll put that link in the bottom of the description, but it's definitely going to help you in terms of understanding how to get a credit limit increase. All right, now the 4th thing that you have to think about is not treating your credit card like cash. Okay, so what that means is basically you go to the grocery store or something like that and say that you don't $150 worth of groceries, right? So then you look at it and say, okay, I've spent $150 worth of groceries here, or I'll do it with my credit card, but making sure you have that $150 to pay it off. Now, there's nothing wrong with carrying a balance on your credit card, okay? But again, just make sure the balance that you're carrying under that credit card, if you can prevent it, is either 30 to 10% under it, okay? That utilization stays under that 30%. All right, 10% is better. All right, now the next thing about it, the next mistake people make is not taking advantage of 0% balance transfer cards or purchase transfer cards. When you're applying for credit cards and stuff, say that you're applying for like American Express credit card. With American Express credit cards, like the American Express Blue credit card, they give you 12 months or 0 interest on purchases. So that means that you're paying dollar for dollar, right? So that's the type of credit card you want to take advantage of, because you're not going to be paying interest on that money that you use. All right, so that's the type of credit card you actually want to be using. As a matter of fact, with American Express, you can always do a pre-qualification to see if you actually qualify for one of their credit cards. All right, 6th mistake, I should say, is closing no annual fee credit cards. Now, this is something that a lot of people do. They figure, well, I'm not using that credit card anymore. Yeah, you might not using that credit card, but you're using another credit card that charges an annual fee. So what about that extra $95 you're going to be paying, or that extra $125? As a matter of fact, like I have the American Express Platinum, and I'm paying $695 a year. Right? But at the same time, just giving you an example that your annual fee credit cards, those are the ones that end up costing you the more just to hold on to them, unless they have better perks. Because mine is always with upgrades and stuff that I actually use and stuff, the card is still ends up being free for me. But at the same time, the no annual fee credit cards, those are the credit cards you don't want to close. All right? Now, the 7th mistake that most people make, and I would tell you this, going after these closing a credit card account, this is something that's very important. Most people, because they figure that, well, I don't want to get into too much credit card debt, and what they end up doing, they'll pay off a credit card and close it out. If that credit card has 2+ years of history and you close that credit card out, you're going to hurt your credit unless you have other credit cards that are able to replace that credit card, okay? So if it's a credit card that, even if it's one of those credit cards that started out with activation fees and stuff like that, that's charging you a minimum fee of $10 a month just to have the card or something like that, that type of credit card, again, if it has at least 2 years of history on it. Now, the reason I'm focusing on 2 years of history, because a lot of financial institutions, when they're trying to come to loans and stuff like that, they want you to have at least 2 years of history. So you don't want to kill that history of your credit file. All right, unless you have other credit card accounts that are better, that can make up for that 2 years of history. All right, so you want to be very careful in terms of what credit card should I actually be closing out. All right, again, like you can have a department store card or something like that, but again, even if you're not using the card, you don't want to close the card out. You want the creditor to close it out so it won't affect your credit history. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of young people make, is once they have established credit, then they may have a family member or somebody come along and say, hey, do you mind co-signing for me? And I'm going to tell you like this, no. Do not ever, I don't care how much you like the person, if it's not your spouse, that you're helping rebuild the credit or something like that, do not do it for your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister. Do not sign anything for them. All right, find them some financial help to help get them in a position where they can sign for themselves, but you do not do that. One, it's going to kill a relationship. Number two, if they didn't take care of their credit starting out, why do you think they're going to help take care of your credit? So they may be needing a car or something like that. Rather help them raise the money for a larger down payment. I see parents, they're doing co-signing for their kids' college education. And as a matter of fact, it was a lady, she did a co-sign for her child's college education. Her child's loans were forgiven, but she's still on the hook for those loans. So her child is off the hook, but she's still on the hook. So you don't want to do that to yourself, because somewhere down the line, and I know a lot of people have heard of Dave Ramsey where he said, oh, get rid of all your credit cards. Somewhere down the line, you're going to need credit, okay? It's not a if, it's a when. It's an actual win. Everybody that I've talked to in the past, or when they call me on the phone, first thing they said, hey, I made the mistake. I always use cash. Now I need credit and I don't have a credit file, or my credit isn't strong enough. All right? Like I said, you don't have to abuse your credit, but you want to keep your credit file alive, so that way somewhere down the line you end up having to use it. You know that, okay, I have a strong established credit. Now, for those of you that may have questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, or removing negative items off of your credit report, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.